Mike McCoy tells his team all the time, next man up. That philosophy will be tested today.
Scott, thank you. On the other sideline, Gus Bradley in his second year with Jacksonville said his team had a good week of practice, more meetings than usual as he tries to get his team on the same page. Today's game is being broadcast in Spanish, where available using the SAP button on your television. Our SAP announcer for today's game is Halim Zadat. Jacksonville won the toss, and they will receive. We are underway in San Diego as the Chargers try to win their third straight. Jordan Todman will take a knee, and that will bring out Blake Bortles to run this Jacksonville offense. Came in the second half last week against Indianapolis. There you see his numbers, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions for the rookie out of Central Florida, the number 3 overall pick in the 2014 NFL Draft.
And when you look at this young man playing, you saw him come in the second half against the Colts last week. He has a presence about him. The coaches sense it. His teammates sense it. Let's see if he can translate it into a good game today.
First throw for Bortles, and that one sails long over the head of Allen Robinson. Gives us a chance to take a look at the starting lineups for Jacksonville on offense. Luke Joeckel will be tested today against the veteran Dwight Freeney. And Allen Robinson starting to flash a little bit for the Jaguars.
Yeah, the second-round draft choice out of Penn State. He and the other draft choice, Blake Bortles, really got it going last week. 7 catches for almost 80 yards for Robinson last week. That's a good sign for a receiving corps that has not been productive.
They give it to Toby Gerhart on second down. He's got some room up the middle, but the ball came out late. No signal yet from the officials. Eric Weddle and the Chargers pointing, and it is San Diego football. Toby Gerhart coughs it up, and it's Chargers ball in great field position.
Well, it happens on what really would be one of the nicest runs the Jaguars have made all year. They haven't run the ball extremely well, but Gerhart coming up, and there's no question that is a direct fumble. The ball is right out, caused by Jarrett Johnson, and it comes right to him. And that's the one thing Jacksonville cannot do is turn the football over. We've talked about this, Steve Berline. Jacksonville's really got to pull out all the stops. Now, you'd like to give Bortles a chance to get his feet under him, see if he can make some hay against this Charger defense, but sooner or later, we're going to see everything in the playbook against this Charger team.
Well, and that's why that was such a significant play. You get a big run to start. Everybody's feeling good. The line's bursting out of there, but then all of a sudden the defense has got to come on the field. That's going to be a challenge to keep a positive attitude on the Jacksonville sideline.
Third fumble of the season for Jacksonville. They've lost all 3. Now 1st and 10 for San Diego from the 30, and they start it with Donald Brown on the ground. He is wrapped up quickly by Red Bryant, free agent acquisition out of Seattle. Phillip Rivers, we had his game last week in Buffalo, and he's just really been on target so far this season. You look at the numbers in the last 2 games, victories over Seattle and Buffalo.
And I can confidently tell you this, Andrew and Steve, that there's not a better quarterback in the NFL right now playing better than Phillip Rivers.
Hey, loaded! Hey, Rocky! Rocky, 5-5! Exactly 90!
Rivers in trouble, and he's sacked. Thrown down by Senderick Marks, the 11th sack of the season for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
He's only been sacked twice all year going into that play, and only a 4-man rush, nothing exotic, 4 straight ahead. And I'll tell you what, that's just a player getting beat right at the point.
That was Senderick Marks right over the top of Chad Reinhardt, and that's what Senderick Marks told us they needed to do yesterday.
3rd and 17, Eddie Royals tackled quickly by Will Blackman, and that's an impressive stand by the Jacksonville defense.
Yeah, they had a 1st and 10 at the 30, and now it's 4th down at the 43-yard line. Goodness gracious, what a defensive series for Jacksonville. And I think the big surprise in that whole scenario was Phillip Rivers getting sacked on a straight 4-man rush.
Well, and this is the Jacksonville defense. It's ranked 25th or lower in over half the defensive categories. They're coming out fired up today.
Punt by Cyphers goes out at the 8-yard line. Beautiful punt by the veteran in his 12th year. sent Derek Marks and the Jacksonville defense with an impressive start here in San Diego. Back in San Diego, and after fumbling on his first carry, Toby Gerhart starts this series on the sideline. Denard Robinson in at running back for Jacksonville. Play action, Bortles dumps it down to Cecil Shorts, and he's knocked out at the 20-yard line. Gives us a chance to take a look at the San Diego defense and Corey Liuget, the AFC Defensive Player of the Week after a monster performance last Sunday in Buffalo. At linebacker, Cavell Connor starts for the injured Manti Te'o, and Steve Tasker, Brandon Flowers, a big acquisition in the offseason for the Chargers.
Well, not only has he been making plays for him, he's also a great athlete, and he gives them an added depth at the top of their rotation and not just the bottom of their rotation.
Robinson, and he gets a cover on the play. Jarrett Johnson makes the tackle. And Bortles getting the start. Chad Henne, who has been so helpful to Blake Bortles throughout this process, now the backup quarterback in Jacksonville.
Hey, Delta! Delta!
Robinson on the pitch, trying to get outside, and he cannot. Great tackle by Sharice Wright, the fourth-year player out of USC.
We've spoken a lot about the change at quarterback with Blake Bortles coming in. It happened at halftime, and it was really interesting. It's very telling that at halftime it was Chad Henne who stepped in front of the offensive players against Indianapolis and said, hey guys, Blake is going to go. We're going to be there for him. Let's rise up and play hard for him. And that's the backup handing the reins over to the young quarterback. I thought that says an awful lot about where Chad Henne is.
3rd down and 8. Jacksonville last in the league, converting just 24% of 3rd downs this year. But this one is caught by Allen Robinson, and he's got enough for a 1st down. Steve Williams makes the tackle.
Well, this is exactly what Eric Weddle told us they wanted to put Blake Bortles in these situations, 3rd and long, where they can get into their exotic type of looks on defense and try and confuse the young quarterback. But I think you give credit to Jed Fish, offensive coordinator. Blake Bortles knew exactly where he wanted to go with that football and delivered a strike to pick up the 1st down.
Bortles targeted Robinson 8 times in the second half last week. And 1st down, it's Todman up the middle. As we go back to that 3rd down conversion by Jacksonville and the throw by Bortles.
Yeah, it was on time, on the money, no indecision whatsoever, and that's what you look for in a young quarterback. That you have to make the quick decision, identify the best matchup on the field, and know where to go with the football, then deliver the accurate ball on time. If you know what's going on, you can make those decisions obviously much cleaner and much more quickly. That was a good example.
Toby Gerhart back in the game for Jacksonville on 2nd and 6. He goes in motion. Caught again at the sideline by Allen Hurns, right at the sticks, knocked out by Sharice Wright. And I think that's going to be very close to a 1st down.
They're going to be barely short. They spotted it back from where it looked like he got hit. But this is interesting that Jacksonville goes with the no huddle. One of the things they've thought about Blake Bortles is his ability to assimilate the information and handle everything that Jacksonville had in their playbook.
On 3rd and 1, Bortles keeps it himself, trying to keep the legs moving. And
it's all about the spot, and it's impossible to see. A good surge. It wasn't a great surge, but it's, the end pile. It's going to be interesting to see where they kind of sort through to get it. And I'll tell you what, it's my feeling. I think this is 4-down territory already. First quarter of the game, you've already had 1 turnover. You're moving the football extremely well. You don't know how long it's going to last. I think you take a chance on a 4th and inches at an 0-3 spot with a new quarterback. Give them a chance to pick it up, even if they don't get it.
You're right. If you're Jacksonville, it's definitely 4-down territory. What do you got to lose? You're trying to show your young team. They got it anyway. It's a new point, right? Yeah. But in that situation, you show the confidence in your team, trying to instill that attitude in those young players.
And this is another small thing, but it was nice. Bortles goes up, and it's the small things that kind of add up, and why Gus Bradley felt so good about making the change. Quick snapping that on a quarterback sneak on a 3rd and short. It takes it's a small thing, but it's a sharp move on a no huddle offense that worked out for him, and it was a bright move by a young guy.
under the direction of offensive coordinator Jed Fish. First down and 10 for Jacksonville. 9:15 to go first quarter. Robinson is tripped up. Getting back there is the AFC Defensive Player of the Week, Corey Liuget.
Yeah, Corey Liuget blowing up inside. You can see right off the side there, and that was the center, Luke Bowanko, that got beat off the ball. That's a rookie going up against a pretty darn good, as you mentioned earlier, Andrew, the defensive player of the year for the player of the week last week for the AFC. That's a tough one-on-one block for a young center, just getting his first action.
Yeah, Liuget has been playing a lot better this year. He struggled with nagging injuries all last year, and sometimes you never get to see what a guy's really about until he gets a chance to play healthy, and Liuget's showing it.
Screen the other way, high pass caught by Clay Harbor. But Bortles didn't put anything on that one, and San Diego was not fooled. Sharice Wright makes the stop.
Yeah, that play was made by the pass rush, not so much Sharice Wright. Coming off, he's got to throw this way up high to get it over the defensive lineman, and it ends up making the play blow up.
But it was a screen pass that was, and that's what you wanted, everything, the flow going right. Sharice Wright did not bite on the action going right where Blake Bortles pumped the ball, and then the defensive lineman forced the ball to go up over the top. Sometimes you got to throw it like that on the screen pass. Very well played by the corner, though.
Third and 14. Bortles throws, and it's caught by Hearns at midfield, and he is tackled right at the chains. That's going to be another one that's very close to a first down. Looks to be a hair short. But Bortles is hustling his team to the line, and looks like they're going to go for it on fourth down again.
And they are, and I think it's a good move. Bortles getting them right there. Now they're going to kind of go ahead and huddle up. But that's exactly why Bortles is so intriguing as a young quarterback. He bought time, stepped up in the pocket, and looked like he thought about tucking the ball and running it, then spotted Hearns and hit him with the pass and gave him this opportunity to convert.
Fourth down and 1 for Jacksonville from midfield.
They're not going to run a play.
They are. Bortles again on the keeper. And again, this will depend on the
like
spot.
They got it.
Jared Johnson leading the charge for the San Diego defense.
Well, I got to tell you guys, that was a great job by the San Diego defense. Because you know, Steve, when the quarterback backs out the first time and initially you realize he's not going to run a play, the defense a lot of times lets up a little bit. They did not let up at all, and San Diego makes the big stop.
Did not get it. San Diego ball when we come back. Back in beautiful San Diego, 6:52 to go. First quarter, no score between the Jaguars and the Chargers. Blake Bortles was 5 for 5 on that last drive, but could not pick up the first down on 4th and 1. So it's San Diego football with 6:52 to go in the first. Rivers to the air on first down. Keenan Allen's got the catch and quickly tackled by Allen Ball, but that's a first down for San Diego.
This is the classic back shoulder throw. Phillip Rivers had no doubt where he wanted to go with this thing. You see that back foot hit. He takes one hitch. Ball delivered on time to Keenan Allen outside. That's hard to stop. One-on-one coverage against a pretty darn good young receiver.
16-yard pickup for Allen, who only had 2 catches for 17 yards last week in Buffalo. Brown up the middle, and he gets a yard on the play. As we look at the San Diego starting offense, and Doug Legursky gets the start at center. Rich Ornberger is not playing today because of a back injury. Also, Donald Brown gets the start for the injured Ryan Matthews, and as you saw last week, Danny Woodhead also now out for the year.
Donald Brown with 36 touches last week and only 63 offensive plays. That's not ideal for the Chargers. Look for that to change today, but Brown will still be very much involved.
Rivers fires to Royal, and he's got it along the sideline. Another San Diego first down and pick up of 15.
Well, watch Keenan. You can't really see Keenan Allen, but he did a fantastic job on the second-year cornerback. Dwayne Gratz got him completely turned around on the outside. He had Gratz thinking he was going deep, and he just broke it right off his back foot. Easy throw and catch there for the Chargers.
Royal had 2 touchdown catches last week in Buffalo. In previous 15 games, he had a total of 3 touchdowns.
Easy! Buffalo! 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 51! 5-1!
Rivers does so much at the line. You got a glimpse of it there with the audio. And, Frank Reich, who's the offensive coordinator, told us that even when he's in the shotgun, when the ball is in the air, Phillip Rivers is telling his running back who to block. He called him a savant, did Frank Reich. And it's just amazing how much command Phillip Rivers has of this offense as we listen in again.
White! Baby hot! Hey, 37's the Sam! 37's the Sam! 51's the White! We still 51, boy! 390! Green hot!
We'll hear Rivers again as we have our first flag of the day. The referee today is Cleet Blakeman.
Holding. Offense, number 78. 10-yard penalty. Still second down.
You know what's crazy? You listen to what he's saying. And this is what Frank Reich and Mike McCoy told us. Is they said he likes to tell everybody on the football field what's going on, who they have, what the responsibilities are. Right there, we heard him say 37's the Sam, 51's the Mike. That's telling all the linemen. He's identifying the different positions of the defensive players. So there's no indecision on anybody's mind, which is absolutely amazing to me.
And it's interesting, too, because if you're playing defense and he's pulling your number, it's like your heart sinks a little bit because you're figuring, he's got us figured out. He knows exactly what our scheme is. And, it's frustrating when your opponent seems to you can't feel it.
Well, Mike McCoy told him when he first got here, you don't have to do all that stuff. These guys have to learn the stuff themselves. And he said, that's just the way I am. I like doing that.
He does it at practice all the time.
Hey, hot! Set! 390! Green hot!
Second and 17 following the penalty. Rivers swings it out to Donald Brown. Across the 20, and he gets up to the 15-yard line. Nice pickup for Donald Brown, the 6-year player out of UConn.
Well, this is a swing pass, and watch as Phillip Rivers looks out. He sees the coverage and very quickly decides and puts that on the upfield shoulder of Donald Brown. Frank Reich mentioned to us the one thing about Phillip, he's so accurate that he'll turn a good gain into a much better game because he puts the football on the forward shoulder on the right side. He's so accurate that he adds a lot of yardage to pass plays just because of his accuracy. That's a great example right there.
Third down and 8. Rivers. And it's incomplete, thrown in the direction of Malcolm Floyd, and that'll bring out the field goal kicker, Nick Novak.
And Phillip Rivers has a word for the officials there. He threw that out there, and this is something I think some quarterbacks, you can speak to this maybe better than I can, Steve, as you see his arm gets hit. But they'll throw that out there, and they don't think it's going to be complete, but they think they've got a penalty when they throw it out there. And that's what Phillip Rivers thought right there. His arm got hit, no question, but he knew there should have been a penalty called out there.
In his mind, now the question would be whether that ball was tipped or not. If it's a tipped ball, there is no illegal contact.
33-yard field goal attempt for Novak, and he makes his 24th straight field goal. The Chargers jump out to a 3-0 lead. Green Bay beat Chicago earlier today in a big showdown in the Windy City. Minnesota in action right now. And that'll be another big one on Thursday night after this past week the Giants beat up the Redskins in Washington, D.C.
Well, that's a big win for the Green Bay Packers. You look at what they've been through this year, and Aaron Rodgers, the model of consistency for so many years, always producing big numbers and always a very efficient, very effective offense. It was basically non-existent for the last couple weeks, and to have him break out 38 points in Chicago against a good Bears team, that's impressive.
Now, I thought the Packers would do that. I've seen the Bears play on the sidelines of Monday Night Football last week. I was on the sidelines, and the Bears, I don't think are as good as people are thinking they are. And they're good, but they're not that good. I thought the Packers might get them.
Todman fields the kickoff on the run across the 20. Todman up to the 30, and Jacksonville have good field position when we come back. Blake Bortles coming back out. Jaguars trail 3-0. You know you can get scores on your mobile device, but here in San Diego, you can even get the updated score in the sand. San Diego on top, 3-0. As Blake Bortles is back out for the Jacksonville offense, throwing on first down, and the pass is caught by Allen Robinson. With NFL Now, you can never miss another game highlight ever. You'll get instant game highlights on every mobile device. Download the NFL Now app. today. You can learn more at NFL.com/now. Data rates may apply. Pickup of 7 on first down for Gus Bradley and the Jaguars with 3:10 to go in the opening quarter. 6 straight completions for the rookie Blake Bortles. He's 6 out of 7 in this opening quarter. 2 on the play clock. Denard Robinson cuts it back inside as the first down and more. Eric Weddle finally brings him down, but a nice pickup for the second-year player out of Michigan, a gain of 10.
You know, it's exciting to see this young running back, and he truly is a young running back. It's only his second year ever really playing the position. Last year, a learning experience. Denard Robinson, a guy that the coaches just said basically he's earned more playing time. This is no reflection on anything other than what he's earned and how much confidence they have in him.
That was a bad snap, too. A good job by Bortles to field it. That pass is knocked down. Cordero Law, who was just promoted off the practice squad this week, was the man who got a hand on him.
It's a great job by Law keeping composure and contain on the quarterback and being as tall as Bortles, trying to get that out into the flat to Shorts. Law just knocks it down. And as we saw earlier, Bortles trying to get it over the top for a screen pass, and that play he couldn't do it.
Practice squad players don't travel, so last week Law watched the game on his couch with the team in Buffalo. This week he's playing and making plays in the first quarter. Robinson at midfield, and that'll bring up third down and long.
That looked like it was going to be a catastrophic loss of yardage on that, but the San Diego defense has this sniffed out so well, they overrun it. As you see Bortles taking a shot there on the screen pass.
That was Dwayne Freeney, who's had a great start to this season at the age of 34. Third down and 8 for Jacksonville. They're 2 for 3 on third downs in this first quarter.
You see the exotic, all the movement out of San Diego on D.
Bortles fires right, and a nice catch by Shorts. Good for a Jacksonville first down.
Super catch by Cecil Shorts. This was not a great ball thrown by Blake Bortles at all. Steve Williams, the corner on the play. But what I was impressed with right there, I talked right before the snap about the exotic look that San Diego was given. What Blake Bortles told us the most important thing for him to do today was to identify the defense, go to the right guy. Right there was a great example. Threw the ball to the right player. Not a great throw, great catch.
And a good blitz pickup by Jordan Todman on that third down. Toby Gerhardt back in the backfield. Play action. Bortles over the middle. It's caught for another first down. It's Clay Harbor, who's playing in his first game this season. He's been sidelined by a calf injury, and there's his first catch of the year.
Well, look right here. You're going to see here's the tight end going to come across the field, and he's going to go right down the middle. But watch the play action going right, and then you see Clay Harbor coming across, just sitting in the soft spot of that zone. All the flow is going right. Blake Bortles sold it going right, and then Clay Harbor up that left-hand seam. Really a nice design play by Jed Fish.
6 first downs already today for Jacksonville. They only had 2 the entire first half a week ago against the Colts. Robinson across the 10 and down to the 5-yard line. Denard Robinson getting a good look here in the first quarter, and that could be the final play of the opening quarter with 9 seconds and counting to go.
And you can tell this is a much different offense with Blake Bortles pulling the trigger. Now, granted, they're going no huddle, and they've got great momentum, but early going, Blake Bortles in his first start is looking very, very solid.
Started the second quarter in San Diego, and this is just the 4th time this season Jacksonville has been in the red zone. That's the fewest trips in the NFL. The league average is 10 red zone trips through the first 3 weeks. It's first and goal for Jacksonville. Gerhardt up the middle down to the 2-yard line. Now, Jacksonville has not scored a rushing touchdown since November of last year.
It's a long time.
It's a long time. It's 216 consecutive rushing attempts without a rushing touchdown. They've got it second and goal, trying to break the streak.
They'd like to get the monkey off their back here. I am so impressed. There you see the graphic. Yeah, they're San Diego's second worst or second longest streak, and look at the difference there as Jacksonville takes a timeout.
First timeout today called for by the Jaguars with 14:26 to go in the first half. Back in San Diego, week 4 of the NFL on CBS, 14:26 to go, second quarter, and Jacksonville has its second and goal. Gerhardt lined up as the fullback, Robinson the tailback. They give it to Gerhardt, fighting his way, and he's in! Touchdown! First time since last November that the Jaguars have a rushing touchdown.
And there's some excitement down there right at the goal line for the Jacksonville offensive line, and that offense who had struggled in the first 3 weeks, they just put together a very impressive drive to go right down on the Chargers and take the lead in this ball game. This will be reviewed. Now, his behind might have been down before that ball crossed. This may not be a touchdown, but nevertheless, the Jacksonville Jaguars getting a lot of momentum right here.
Every scoring play is under review, and Clete Blakeman will take a look, as they will back in New York. And as they do, we'll step aside. We're back to San Diego with a verdict in a moment.
Cue him.
After reviewing the play, the runner was down by contact with the ball just short of the goal. It'll be third down and goal at that point.
So they take the points off the board. We welcome in our officiating expert back in New York, Mike Carey. Do you agree with the call, Mike?
Yes, Andrew, I do. You look at two things. First, we have a shot right down the goal line, so we got an accurate look. And number two, we freeze the frame right when the rear hits the ground and the ball is short. Great review. Third down.
Thank you, Mike. Third and goal. Jacksonville trying to punch it in this time. Gerhardt tripped up, and he's in for the touchdown. So now, Jacksonville has its first rushing touchdown since last November, 218 rush attempts ago.
And you know darn well, Andrew, these guys, these offensive linemen know exactly how long it's been since they've scored a rushing touchdown. They had to get it. It sure was a lot more difficult than you think it needed to be, but I think that ball crossed the plane. The ball was first to hit the ground there. And that does exercise the demon of the lack of touchdowns. And what a relief for those big boys up front for Gus Bradley.
Last rushing touchdown was by Maurice Jones-Drew, who is not on the team anymore, now an Oakland Raider. The 6th rushing touchdown of Toby Gerhardt's career. And now Josh Scobie is on for the point after. Chargers have only trailed 16 minutes and 51 seconds this year. The second least amount of time in the entire league, and now they are down 7-3 with 14:06 to go. And guys, an impressive drive for the youngster Blake Bortles.
Very impressive. 9 of 11 so far on the day. 3 of 4 on third down conversions. He looks very decisive. He looks very, very comfortable back there, like there's no question he believes in himself to get the job done. You know, he's had help. His players have stepped up around him with some nice catches, some good play calling by Jed Fish, and then sheer will there by Toby Gerhardt and his offensive linemen up front to get this ball in the end zone. It's a great start for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And it's interesting, too, because you know now that this offense is looking a little bit different than it has in the first week, people are going to say, yeah, they should have put him in a few weeks ago or should have started him from the beginning. I don't agree with that. I think this is the perfect time, and Gus Bradley handled the transition from Chad Henne to Blake Bortles, I think, as well as it could possibly have been handled. They started from the draft saying no way. Then they said, well, he's ahead of schedule. And even up until last week, he had passed milestones and done things that the coaches didn't know if he could do. He proved to them he could do it. Step by step by step by step, Blake Bortles made himself ready to play and proved to his teammates and his coaching staff that he could play. And then Gus Bradley last week met with both quarterbacks and said, hey, the time is getting nearer. It's not going to start this week, but if we don't play well, we're going to make the switch. So he warned them that it was going to happen. This didn't just happen overnight, and I think Gus Bradley and his staff did an outstanding job of the transition.
First time this season, the Chargers have returned a kickoff as Oliver gets out to the 17-yard line. Tonight on 60 Minutes, there are a lot of questions for President Obama, and he'll answer them only on 60 Minutes. Plus, the founder of internet giant Alibaba. That's tonight on 60 Minutes only, CBS.
You know, just to echo one thing there, what confirmed the decision was the way the Bortles played and the way the team responded last week. They had 55 yards of total offense in the first half, 2 first downs. In the second half, 17 points, 290 yards of total offense. That confirmed to Gus Bradley they had to make the choice.
Jacksonville with 8 first downs so far in the opening half. Chargers running just their 10th play right here. Goes to Allen, and nothing doing there as Geno Hayes snuffs it out. Once again, the Chargers without several key players for this game against Jacksonville. As you take a look at the injury report, Nick Hardwick out for the year, so is Danny Woodhead. Melvin Ingram on short-term IR. And another big one today is Ornberger, the center. He was their second center behind Hardwick, so now it's Doug Legursky, the third-string center, starting for San Diego. Over the middle, and it's Antonio Gates. Paul Posluszny quickly makes the stop, and that's going to be short of a first down.
When you're trying to overcome a rash of injuries, it's best to start thinking about guys who you still have, and Antonio Gates and Phillip Rivers are 2 of the best that have ever played their positions, particularly here in San Diego. And with no disrespect to our friend Dan Fouts, Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates are as good as a combo as it ever been, so you can look for the Chargers offense and Mike McCoy to lean even more heavily on those 2 veterans.
Chargers are 4 for 4 this year on 3rd and 1. That's what they're faced with here. Now 5 for 5 as Donald Brown moves the chains.
When Derek Marks, the defensive lineman for the Jacksonville Jaguars, talked to us yesterday, he told us how nasty this San Diego offensive line is up front right there. That was a very good example of them just getting after the line of scrimmage, controlling the line of scrimmage in the most difficult of situations, 3rd and short, and they really did a great job executing and coming up with that first down.
90!
Rivers has some time, fires over the middle to a wide open Keenan Allen into Jacksonville territory, a gain of 23.
What makes Phillip Rivers so great, and it was obviously a very well executed play across the board, but Keenan Allen does a great job getting open for Phillip Rivers, but in the backfield he had to buy a little extra time. What he does better than anybody in the NFL is buy that extra time in the pocket, avoid the rush, give himself a lane to throw that football up the field.
Rivers to the air again. Eddie Royal at the 20, inside the 10. Royal takes it in. A 47-yard score.
You'll watch Eddie Royal is going to come all the way across the formation and go deep, and Phillip Rivers kind of stays with him, and he gets matched up one-on-one with Geno Hayes late in the play, and that's the problem when you're a defense playing Phillip Rivers. He always knows where the open guy is, and he can put the ball right on him. A lot of quarterbacks don't even see that guy running back across to the left. Phillip Rivers not only sees him, he puts it right on him.
What a drive by Rivers and the Chargers. The veteran quarterback was 4 for 4 for 80 yards on that scoring drive, capped off by the 3rd touchdown of the season by Eddie Royal. The Chargers regain the lead. Phillip Rivers has just set a franchise record by throwing a touchdown pass in his 24th consecutive game. This one to Eddie Royal from 47 yards out, and San Diego back in front 10-7 with the Steves, Berline, and Tasker, and Scott Kaplan down on the sideline. I'm Andrew Catalan. Jordan Todman's going to take this one out of his own end zone. Across the 20 And he's tackled at the 24-yard line. We'll go back to that touchdown.
Well, I want you to look at the two receivers here in the slot. You got Malcolm Floyd and Eddie Royal. Eddie Royal's on the inside here. All he's going to do, he's going to run across the field, and then Malcolm Floyd up the middle here. You can see the bind that puts on the free safety, Josh Evans. And as soon as he turns his hips toward the outside, away from Eddie Royal, right there, he's starting to turn those hips. Going this way, he is done. The play is over. He can't get back to make the play over the top or even the tackle. Great call by Frank Reich at the right time. They got the coverage, and of course the execution couldn't have been better.
Bortles keeps it himself. He can run. The athletic across the 30 and slides down close to a Jacksonville first down. Last week, Bortles had a 20-yard run, the longest this season by a Jaguars ball carrier.
And this is an important run, not that it was such a great run, although it was 8-yard carry, which is awesome. It makes the San Diego defense realize that Bortles can do it. He can do it in a shorter yardage play for a first down, and it makes them play the running game of the Jacksonville Jaguars honest. So you won't see Bortles doing this every series, but once or twice a game is all it takes.
And his teammates love it too. They love him with the ability to take it and go.
2nd and 2, it's Gerhardt. Now to the right, now cuts it back in for a first down. Eric Weddle makes the stop. And a fresh set of downs for the Jaguars with 10:15 and counting to go in the first half. Jacksonville has had a brutal start to this season, 0-3. They've been outscored by 75 points this year.
And we've seen them jump out and play well early in ball games before. But now the question is, can Blake Bortles and this offense sustain it?
Bortles to a wide open Clay Harbor, and he's got another Jacksonville first down.
You know what's impressive, Steve, with this, what's going on right here? This is actually a Jacksonville offense that I think we can quite honestly say for the first time this year is really looking like an offense. Other than the first half of the first game against Philadelphia, they look like they know what they're doing, and they're executing very well.
We can talk about it a little more in a minute after this play, but the pressure has not been there for San Diego. That's surprising to me.
Screen pass, Robinson across the 50 and tackled at the 48-yard line.
As you see him take this screen pass, that's one of the ways to negate pressure as well. Let the pass rush come through and throw it right behind him. But this is a team in San Diego that's really never been trailing in very much of the time. As Andrew just said, nobody has trailed, or just a couple of teams have trailed less. So they haven't really gone to any pressure packages, and we haven't seen it yet today, but we may if Jacksonville continues to be successful offensively.
Robinson. And he gets a yard or two on the play. He'll bring up 3rd down and long. With the Steves, Berline, and Tasker, alongside Scott Kaplan, who's down in the field, I'm Andrew Cataline. We thank you for joining us for Week 4 of the NFL on CBS. Steve Tasker, the Pro Bowler with the Bills, and Steve Berline, 17 NFL seasons, was the first quarterback in Jacksonville history.
Yeah, it lasted 2.5 quarters before I got the hook from Tom Coughlin. So
at least you're not so bitter about it. We don't hear about that every week.
Hey, this is one of those situations here, though. In this ball game, look for something exotic out of San Diego. They're gonna come with some pressure one of these times here.
Jacksonville 4 for 5 on 3rd downs in the first half. It's 3rd and 5, and we have a timeout called for by the Jaguars. Their second. Back to San Diego in a moment. The Jaguars and Chargers join the NFL in celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. From players to coaches, owners, fans, many Latinos have left a lasting legacy on the league. You can hear their stories by visiting NFL.com/Hispanic Heritage. 10-7, Chargers in front as we go down to Scott Kaplan.
Andrew, it's very interesting to watch Blake Bortles on the sideline prepare to go out and respond after San Diego scored. He, along with offensive coordinator Jed Fish and backup quarterback now Chad Henne, working diligently on the sideline, looking at still photos. No panic, looking very, very much like a veteran quarterback.
Yeah, we met with him yesterday, Bortles, and he seemed like a cool customer. Didn't seem to be fazed very much by the enormity of this start. He said he was going to sleep like a baby last night. 3rd and 5. looking deep. Wide open is Allen Hurns. He's got it. He is down at the 2. Almost got up and ran it in, and he almost dropped it too. But it's 1st and goal for Jacksonville.
Well, there's no excuse for this from a San Diego defensive perspective, but this is what we're talking about with Blake Bortles. Look at him step outside by that time, and he's got the arm to get that ball up the field. A great job by Allen Hurns to look this ball in. This guy coming into this game, 3 touchdown catches out of the 7 receptions. That should have been a 4th touchdown right there.
It should have been. I mean,
there was nobody back there.
All right. Let me just, as a receiver, a former guy who played a couple of games as a receiver.
That's the toughest catch. Right?
Well, you can't believe you're that wide open. It's all of a sudden you're in a movie where everybody else is gone, and you can't believe you're standing by yourself in the middle of an open field, and you think, gosh, I can't drop it, and you end up dropping it. And there, he couldn't even keep his feet. It's amazingly that he pulled that in.
Well, let's see what happened.
Well, watch Eric Weddle.
You want to watch the safeties for sure, because
he just bites hard on the cross, and that is a veteran safety getting absolutely fooled.
Allen Hurns, undrafted out of Miami. He leads the NFL, averaging 26 yards per catch, and that one goes for 44. 1st and goal, Jacksonville. Play action, Bortles, and it's caught for a touchdown. That's Nick Jacobs. He was signed on Tuesday off the Saints practice squad. He's got his first catch as a Jaguar and his first touchdown, but there was a flag down.
Well, it hasn't been easy for Jacksonville. They had 1 touchdown that was called and reviewed and reversed. They got it on the next play. We'll see if this one stands for them.
Jacobs was the receiver.
The result of the play is a touchdown. During the play, we had an unnecessary roughness, personal foul, defense number 32. That penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. The result is a touchdown.
you know what that is. That's Eric Weddle, who's a little bit upset at himself, a little frustrated, the veteran not used to being taken advantage of by a young rookie quarterback. I think he really believed that the previous play that Blake Bortles couldn't get the ball down the field, and right there you just saw a little bit of unnecessary roughness, which is exactly what they called at the end of that play, the forearm.
We sat with offensive coordinator Jed Fish yesterday. We said, are you going to play Nick Jacobs? He just signed on Tuesday. He said, oh yeah, we're going to roll him out there. Well, he rolled him out there, rolled him right in the end zone for a touchdown. Blake Bortles 4 for 4 on that drive for 61 yards. Earns the catch to set up the touchdown by Jacobs. Back in San Diego, home of the legendary Dan Fouts, our CBS Sports colleague, but right now it's Blake Bortles who's turning some heads. The touchdown to Nick Jacobs. Bortles is 13 out of 15 for 144 yards and the touchdown, and Jacksonville has a 14-10 lead. You can follow all of today's football action on the go. Download the award-winning CBS Sports app right now for instant scores, breaking news, video, and more, all on your phone. How about the Jaguars? They have 2 red zone touchdowns in the first half. They had 1 red zone touchdown the first 3 games combined.
They'd only been in the red zone 3 times all year, as you stated earlier, coming into this game. This is very, very impressive early on for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Let's see if Phillip Rivers and the Chargers have an answer. 7:17 to go in the second quarter. Rivers to Allen. Across the 30, and he gets to the 32-yard line for a San Diego first down. 12-yard gain.
Well, you talk about the veterans, and we talk about Antonio Gates, and that's Cyprian all over him, not letting him get off the line of scrimmage. Wherever Antonio Gates goes, I mean, he's like a dignitary. He's got escorts everywhere he goes.
He usually draws a crowd as we look at a down player for the Jaguars, Dwayne Gratz.
Dwayne Gratz, who's down on the field, and we'll step aside, come right back after this. Back in San Diego with 7:03 to go in the second quarter, and the training staff for the Jaguars continues to attend to Dwayne Gratz, the second-year player out of UConn. He was a third-round pick last year, and we'll take another look, and you can clearly see that Gratz gets hit in the head. 27.
right here, as you can see, as he just comes right down on the top of his head, and everybody piles over the top. And they're being very, very cautious with him. Now, I've seen him raise both feet and move his arm and grab the trainer's hand, but nevertheless, they're being really cautious with him, as you would expect.
This is the scenario that really hits home for all these players, and we've got him sitting up now, it looks like, which is a huge relief. But I just, from being a former player myself, and you know, we've all experienced this down on the field, there's no worse feeling in the pit of your stomach than somebody on either team going through a scare like that.
Yeah, now he's standing up, and now it's,
wow.
I mean, you know, I mean, it was obvious. I mean, you don't want to speculate, but it seems obvious. You know, he comes down right on the top of his head, and that's what happens. Is in any injury, the training staff comes out, and the first thing they do is try and communicate with the player who's down. And once they get an idea of how he's communicating, they go from there. And if he can't speak, or if he's knocked cold, or if he's got the wind knocked out of him, you know, that gives them information. And then as it progresses, you know, they start to administer help. But you can see there, he is he's feeling it.
Wow, I'm just so happy to see him walking off the field. That even assisted, that's just such a relief to see that.
Mike McCoy, the Chargers head coach, in our meetings with him on Friday, actually highlighted Gratz and said that, you know, we played this team last year, San Diego won, and he's seen a lot of improvement with the second-year player, the way he's played, third on the team in tackles, 2 career interceptions, and we certainly hope, as he receives a nice hand from the fans here in San Diego, that Gratz is okay. So as he goes off to the locker room, we bring it back to the 30-yard line where San Diego has it 1st and 10. Brandon Oliver on the carry, and he is met by Roy Miller. Miller throws him back, and this Jacksonville front four, they have a lot of talent. They haven't put it together yet this season, but there's a lot of guys up front that can make plays.
Yeah, and they're big. Red Bryant gives him that, and of course, Roy Miller, who's a 6'2", 310-pound, 6th-year guy out of Texas. I mean, you get guys in there that are over 300 pounds and they can run down the line of scrimmage. That's a formidable bunch up there.
Loss of 1 on the play.
Chocolate Phil, okay. Chocolate Phil, set green 90. Green hot.
Rivers to Oliver on the screen. He's got a little bit of room to run across the 40 and tackled at the 41-yard line by Geno Hayes.
Another great example of Phillip Rivers. He saw the look he wanted. I don't know what exactly he was saying, but he checked to this screen pass. You see the big boys out in front offering Brandon Oliver that room to get up the field and convert a nice first down. Or just, it's right at the marker. They may have to measure this, or yeah, they're going to come out and measure it. But that's what Phillip Rivers brings to the table, though. I mean, there aren't many quarterbacks that can identify a defense like that, check to a screen pass, and then have that get out there no problem.
Well, and that's the thing, too. It was a second down and long, and because of the loss they took on the play before, and he's so savvy and so confident that they're not trying, he wasn't really necessarily trying to get the first down, but he knew he'd get a big positive play and bring up a 3rd and manageable. And that's one of the things that San Diego has done virtually better than anybody else. They stay on the field offensively, and it's plays like that and checks like that that makes it possible.
Hey, go to right. Captain. Walking 5-1. Set green 90. Good thing. Green hot.
Rivers to Malcolm Floyd, and he's tackled immediately at the 44-yard line. We're very confident allowing you to hear the audio of Phillip Rivers because Mike McCoy told us that one thing you might not know about Phillip, doesn't say a cuss word. He keeps it clean, so we can listen in to Rivers, who, as Frank Reich called him, a savant at the line. 7 straight completions for Phillip Rivers. These two quarterbacks have only combined to throw 3 incompletions. Bortles is 13 out of 15. Rivers 11 out of 12. 5 minutes to go in the first half. Rivers just throws it away. We go back to New York. JB and Bart Scott.
Kaepernick out of the pocket.
Kaepernick out of the pocket where he's most dangerous. Buys time with his feet, and he finds Frank Gore wide open. You never throw the ball against your body like that, but in this case, it worked out for him. And Philly needs to work on tackling drills a little bit more. San Francisco 10-7.
Frank Gore, does he have his AARP card?
Yeah, man.
I hear you. Andrew, Steve, and Scott.
Wow, bad missed tackle. That had to make Bart Scott kind of sick seeing that tackle. Golly.
3rd down and 6 for the Chargers, and the pass over the middle is caught. That's Antonio Gates. He's right at the line. Puzzlesny made the tackle.
Well,
And they're just short. You see Philip Rivers signaling to the sideline. We're just short, but now they're going to measure.
Yeah, they're going to measure and they're going to go for it if they are short. Philip Rivers lobbying already to Mike McCoy, and Mike Cyphers is kind of standing over there thinking he might come in to punt. I don't think you do. I think in a game like this, Steve, you tell me, this is going to be about 4 or 5 inches short.
Well, I think it's a gut call in this situation. You can make a case for it either way, but my gut tells me, knowing Mike McCoy the way I do, they're going to go for this, I think.
Yeah. Look, Frank Reich stepping out to talk to Philip Rivers, and Philip Rivers telling the crowd not to cheer.
The big boys are telling them to cheer. The fans are confused a little bit, but the team obviously is fired up. Now, this is going to be a big challenge for Jacksonville's defense. Their front 4 is the strength of this defense, without a doubt. And then you bring the linebackers in, Puzzlesny, Geno Hayes. This is what's supposed to be their strength. We'll see if they can come through here.
San Diego 0 for 1 on 4th downs this year.
25, hut!
Lost the ball. Flags come in. Multiple flags down, and that's going against the Chargers.
If the play started.
That's the new center. That's a miscommunication between Philip Rivers and the new center.
It'll be interesting to see if they give the play the snap or if they don't.
False start. Offense, number 65. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
Okay, yeah. Because the ball was snapped at some point.
But
they called the play dead because of the illegal procedure.
It was a late snap. Yeah, there he's going. The ball's not moving. The ball's still stuck on the ground.
Chris Watt, that's the rookie 3rd-round pick out of Notre Dame, playing in his first regular season game today. And now Mike McCoy has sent out Mike Cyphers.
That's when the center turns around and goes, "It's not you, it's me." It's me.
The quarterback says, "I know."
High spiraling kick by the veteran Cyphers, and a fair catch called for by Mike Brown at the 10-yard line. 45-yard punt by Cyphers. Week 4 continues with Sunday Night Football tonight at 8:30 Eastern on NBC. Tune in tomorrow for Monday Night Football on ESPN. That Sunday nighter between Dallas and New Orleans. Dallas has not beaten the Saints in Texas since 1991. The quarterback that day for the Cowboys, Steve Berline.
I know that guy.
I do too.
Is there anybody you didn't play for?
Yeah, that's a great
that's a
point.
better question. Which team did I not play for?
That's a short list.
Yeah, the Chargers are one of them.
You were 17 of 29 for 184 yards and a touchdown that day.
Nice.
It's one of the rare times I'll give you a compliment.
You act surprised, Tasker. Why is that?
I thought you'd have higher yardage.
Bortles in trouble, and he just throws it away. Are they going to say it was a fumble? No, he was down. Bortles nearly made a mess of that one.
Yeah, and that's a young guy trying to do too much. Things have been going so well for him. He steps up in the pocket. He has the right idea. He's got to move out. But you'll see right there, he just gets tangled up.
If anything, this would have been an incomplete pass. He's trying to throw it. It wasn't a fumble.
That's right.
But the referee ruled that he was down. His knee had already hit the ground before the ball came out of his hand. So Bortles was just trying to preserve the line of scrimmage.
That was Ricardo Matthews with the pressure. He's a native of Jacksonville.
Yeah, and Mike McCoy's thinking about challenging that call. It looked as he was coming out. He's got it
at the 4-yard line. It'll be 2nd down at the 4.
Yeah, there was confusion as to whether the ball left his hand before the knee hit. Mike McCoy is going to challenge the spot on that.
39 seconds on the game clock. 3:39.
Now McCoy's got the flag back in his pocket.
Yeah, he's not going to throw it.
He just wanted he wanted to make sure it was a sack. He knew for sure that knee was down.
2nd and 16. Bortles sets up the screen. Harbor gets a yard.
Great job by Brandon Flowers. We spoke about him in the open, about his athleticism. As Flowers comes up, reads this perfectly. Just submarines this play, coming up right underneath the interference, trying to get out in front of him. Great job.
Pressure was coming from Jared Johnson. That brings up 3rd down and 16. Jacksonville 5 for 6 on 3rd downs. Bortles to Harbor again, just trying to give the punter a bit of breathing room, and Jacksonville will kick it away.
Yeah, that for sure was Jed Fish just saying, let's just try and create a little bit more room. Our rookie quarterback is playing very well at this point. No reason to put him in a situation where something bad can happen. We don't want the sack fumble. He's a very confident athlete. You might try and see that young guy run around and make a play in that situation. I think Gus Bradley, Jed Fish did the right thing, being very conservative there.
Ryan Anger with his first punt of the day for Jacksonville. Royal is back deep. Comes up to the 45-yard line. And he's tackled at the 45-yard line. Good special teams coverage by Jacksonville. Dakota Watson making the stop. Well, tomorrow, don't miss the new show critics are calling fast, funny, and above all, exciting. Catch the new hit drama Scorpion tomorrow at 9/8 Central after the Big Bang Theory, only CBS. 48-yard punt by Brian Anger, and look at the quarterback numbers today, the rookie Bortles and the 11-year vet Rivers. And now rushing totals, Toby Gerhart had a rushing score, and Keenan Allen already with 4 catches for the Chargers, only had 2 last week in the win over Buffalo.
So San Diego with the short field here, right coming up on the 2-minute warning.
And all 3 timeouts for the Chargers. Across the middle, it's Allen with his 5th catch into Jacksonville territory and knocked out at the 44-yard line. That takes us to the 2-minute warning. The Chargers in great field position. They trail by 4. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowell for all the latest NFL scores and highlights, as well as a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. That's coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. 2 minutes to go, first half. San Diego has all 3 timeouts remaining. It's 1st and 10.
Set. 390. Get hot.
Rivers to Brown, makes an athletic catch and goes out of bounds at the line of scrimmage for a minimal gain, maybe a pickup of 1 as we go down to Scott Kaplan.
Andrew, earlier, Dwayne Grotz, the cornerback for the Jaguars, was taken into the locker room. He walked off under his own power. He is in the back getting checked out for a concussion, this according to the Jacksonville Public Relations staff.
Thank you, Scott. And Will Blackman has taken his spot at cornerback, the 8th-year vet out of Boston College. No gain on that last play. It's 2nd and 10. Rivers right back to Brown. Across the 40 and tackled at the 38-yard line. That brings up 3rd down. Demetrius McCray on the tackle for the Jaguars.
And we get to see Phillip Rivers kind of orchestrate the offense now. No panic whatsoever. He knows he's got plenty of time. Wants to make sure he's got the right play called. He's not thinking field goal, even though Nick Novak may be. Phillip Rivers thinking touchdown.
He's thinking first down right here as well. You hear him calling guys by their first name. Keenan Allen out on his right side.
Rivers gets away from 1. Flag is down on the play. Rivers still on his feet. And now he just chucks the ball out. But there is a penalty flag on the far side of the field. Ryan Davis was bringing the pressure. And it's going to be offsides against the Jaguars.
Wow.
That's a killer penalty for Jacksonville. They only had 2 penalties last week for 15 yards.
You see why it's so frustrating to play Phillip Rivers on that play, even though it's not going to count. Rivers looked like he was sacked 3 times. Looked like the ball was going to get swiped out of his hands, and it turns out he moves out, and it just turns into an incomplete pass. And for all of that's going on in the secondary, Phillip Rivers just fighting tooth and nail just to keep the play alive.
And that's the first, what I would consider to be...
There are fouls against both teams on the play. Intentional grounding, offense number 17. Offside, defense number 91 lined up in the neutral zone. Those penalties offset will replay third down.
Well, that's interesting because it really crossed my mind, but it's probably true. The ball's got to get to the line of scrimmage, and it didn't. When he's out of the pocket, and there was nobody over there to throw to by the time he moved over there.
Well, he's in the grasp of that defender. You know, I question whether, he's making the effort to throw the ball. It went toward the line of scrimmage.
So if he didn't throw it and just kept it, the penalty would have given San Diego a first down.
Right.
Instead, intentional grounding negates the penalty on the Jaguars, and it's 3rd and 4.
That's a double snap. Again with the center. That's a crusher. Legursky.
Illegal snap. Offense number 57. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
Well, we've seen the rookie Chris Watt in there. We see Legursky back in there, 57 right there. The bottom line is these are the 3rd and 4th centers this year for the San Diego Chargers. There's gonna be these issues, and Phillip Rivers, he's trying to use his snap count, but in this situation, I think you got to realize your personnel and how these centers are not comfortable up there. Maybe the hard count is not the way to go right now.
So 3rd and 4 turns into 3rd and 9 with 1:09 to go, second quarter. Rivers looking deep, wide open is Royal. First down and more. Royal takes it in. Touchdown Chargers, 43 yards.
You can play good for a long time, but Phillip Rivers can still get you.
What amazes me about Phillip Rivers is that he gets himself, we saw it last week in Buffalo, you look at the tape, it happens every week. He gets himself in these situations where they're 3rd and whatever, and he still makes the play right there, the perfect play call, out and up by Eddie Royal down the sideline. Credit everybody on that one. Frank Reich, Eddie Royal, Phillip Rivers, all good.
2 touchdowns last week for Royal, 2 more in the first half today for the 7th-year vet out of Virginia Tech. He's now got 4 catches for 100 yards, his 5th 100-yard receiving game of his career.
Eddie Royal's doing a great job fighting to the end zone after the catch, ran the out and up, perfectly timed. And it's one of the things when the team gets backed up and you think, wow, they just need the first down. Well, a guy like Phillip Rivers, and you can see how stoked he is. Phillip Rivers is going to go for the home run. Forget the first down. I think it's a great strategy not to just try and stay on the field offensively, but to go for the big play in that situation, because really, I don't think anybody expected him to do it.
No, and I think one of the other things to point out here, though, guys, this is what has plagued Jacksonville all year, and going back into last year, giving up the big play at the wrong time. I mean, they're in 3rd and 10, and a field goal doesn't kill you. A touchdown right here kills you. You get caught up, the double move, the out and up the sideline, and this has really been the big Achilles heel of this Jacksonville defense all year, giving up the big play.
And the guy that bit on that double move was Winston Guy, who was benched this week in favor of Josh Evans, but he was out there, and it caught Jacksonville. So Derek Marks told us yesterday that it seems like on each play on defense for the Jaguars, 9 guys do their job, and 1 or 2 guys don't do their job, and every time that happens, the opposing quarterback finds that guy who didn't do his job. Perfect example there with Rivers finding Guy.
That particularly when your other quarterback is Phillip Rivers. I mean, that he has made a career out of being one of the top guys in the NFL, and those guys just don't miss opportunities like that.
Now, that was a direct quote from Derek Marks yesterday, talking about how, everybody makes mistakes every once in a while, but it seems like whenever they bust something defensively, the opposing quarterback has found him every single time.
Jordan Todman is back deep. Weddle will hold for Novak. A little breezy here in San Diego today. And Todman will take this one out. Spins his way up to the 25. Back to New York for another NFL update with JB and Bart Scott.
The good and the bad of Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick dragged back for the pass. Whoopsie! Finds Malcolm Jenkins, who will return it 53 yards. San Francisco is self-imploding. Already had a blocked punt. Philadelphia up 14-10.
And I'm sure Steve Berline will tell you that happens. Back to Andrew, Steve, and Scott.
You're right, JB. It does happen. But boy,
very often, JB, actually.
I don't know what it feels like, of course. But Kaepernick has done it a few too many times this year.
All right, now Jacksonville has one timeout to play with here. Bortles on first down just throws it to nobody in particular, middle of the field, and pressure was coming by Kendall Reyes.
Well, these big
Check
boys,
it, Corey Legion.
yeah, these big boys, they want to initiate this young gun quarterback to the NFL for sure. They want to introduce themselves to him. Anytime they get a chance to take a shot at him, they're going to do it.
Well, now with the lead, and it's a narrow lead of 14-17, you can bet San Diego, maybe not here in the last minute, but they're going to talk at halftime about bringing some more exotic pressure on the Borders in the second half.
They run it to Gerhardt, and he gets 3 yards. You see if the Chargers use their timeouts here. They have all 3. Mike McCoy has not called timeout, and it's 3rd and 7.
Yeah, I disagree. 3 timeouts with Phillip Rivers on the sideline in a tight game. I think you got to give him another shot, and the Chargers are choosing not to do that.
And conversely, I'd like to see, I mean, you're 0-3, Jacksonville. You got the ball in decent field position. Let's see what Bortles can do. See if he can make a few first downs.
There's 12 on the play clock, so there's a difference of 1 second between the game clock and the play clock. And I still don't understand why, if you're San Diego, you wouldn't call timeout here. They run it to Gerhardt, and that's going to be the end of the first half.
That's a great point, Andrew.
I think Phillip Rivers deserves a chance. I mean, you got one of the best guys playing the best position and playing as well as anybody. Give the guy a chance with some timeouts.
And Novak has a career long of 53. You never know, maybe you get in field goal range to no matter now. As we are through 2 quarters, San Diego leads it 17-14. We'll be back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Back in San Diego with the score, Chargers 17, Jaguars 14. Time now to take a look at the DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam. Phillip Rivers to Eddie Royal, a 43-yard touchdown pass that gave the Chargers the lead. They are up by 3. Back in the booth with Steves, Berline, and Tasker. I'm Andrew Catalan. Blake Bortles making his first career start. Sure doesn't look like a rookie. 15 out of 18 for 149 yards.
I could not be more impressed with how this rookie's playing. As you said, 15 of 18. He looks in complete control, not fazed by anything, making plays with his feet, also buying time, and then making the throws. I am really impressed.
And also with Phillip Rivers, I mean, I think one thing San Diego could do better is just continue to be committed to the run. Even if they're not productive, it'll keep Jacksonville from teeing off in the pass rush.
Chargers will start the second half with the ball at the 20-yard line. And let's take a look at some of your second half adjustments, guys.
What has killed Jacksonville today? Really, they've been playing very well on both sides of the ball, but giving up the big plays, especially in 3rd and long situations, that touchdown pass you just showed, terrible timing. There's never a good time for it, but if they can stop giving up the big plays, they've got a chance to win this ball game.
Yeah, and Donald Brown will get more involved in the second half in the running game. I think they're going to stay committed to it. I mean, there's no question that Blake Bortles, I think, has caught everybody off guard, including the San Diego defense. And I think the San Diego offense will probably start helping their defense out, probably trying to stay on the field a little longer and control the clock.
You mentioned Donald Brown, 4 touches in the first 8 plays, but just 3 touches in the last 16. That's a touch right here on the first play of the second half, as we go down to the sideline and check in with Scott Kaplan.
Andrew, Steve Tasker took the words right out of Mike McCoy's mouth. He said, we have to be committed to the run. We've got to settle down and make plays. Gus Bradley on the other side said we cannot give up explosive plays for touchdowns. He said that can't happen.
Thank you, Scott. Pickup of 3 on first down. It's 2nd and 7. They go right back to Donald Brown, this time on the ground. And Roy Miller and Paul Posluszny close quickly. It'll bring up 3rd down for San Diego.
Well, Mike McCoy told us in our meeting on Friday that Donald Brown on the field for 60 plays last week. That was too much. That was asking too much out of him, and the 30-plus carries. But there is that happy medium. They have to find that happy medium where they still can commit to him but not put too much on him.
And in this instance right here, they take Brown off the field and they put 4 wide receivers in with Antonio Gates. So they're spreading out and going to sling it here on 3rd and 5. No running back at all in the game.
Rivers with time, and the pass is caught along the sideline, and it's Keenan Allen. That's his 6th catch of the day, and it's good for a San Diego first down.
Well, one of the things that Keenan Allen is so good at when he came out, number 13 there, not number 11, that's Eddie Royal, but Allen runs great routes. There were faster guys in the draft, bigger guys in the draft, stronger guys, but he is the most polished route runner at this young point of his career that I've ever seen, and that's why he's able to get so much separation. Really a polished receiver at a young age.
Donald Brown on first down, tripped up by Alan Ball, and then Geno Hayes finished him off. Now for the Jacksonville injury update, Dwayne Gratz, you saw earlier in that first half, hit his head hard on the ground. He will not return. He is out with a concussion. And we certainly wish him well.
Well, that was another negative play right there for San Diego. And by the way, as good as they are playing offensively this year, they lead the NFL coming into this game with the most negative plays in the NFL. And they just happen to have a quarterback that can overcome it a lot of times.
Pressure coming from Branch. Rivers escapes and fires to Keenan Allen again into Jacksonville territory, and another San Diego first down, a gain of 22.
Well, again, this is Phillip Rivers at his best. Watch him step up in the pocket, buy that extra time, and then deliver under traffic, under pressure, right on the money. He's completing almost 70% of his passes this year, which truly is amazing, especially when you realize that he is the guy that's orchestrating all of this out there, and he's under pressure a lot of times.
Keenan Allen had a quiet start to the season, averaging just 36 receiving yards per game, but he's now got 7 catches for 101 yards, the 6th 100-yard game of his career, and Antonio Gates takes the Chargers down to the 25-yard line.
Yeah, and that's a play-action pass, and Geno Hayes just gets absolutely fooled right here as he and Paul Posluszny jump on the play action, and Antonio Gates slips right by them. He is wide open right down between the hash marks. You can't let that happen, and that has been the kind of mistake that has plagued Jacksonville throughout the first month of the season.
As easy as it gets from that play action was perfectly timed and executed that time as well.
Play action to Brown. On the run, the pass by Rivers is low. Just his 3rd incompletion of the day.
Rivers knew it. He let it go, and that's on him. He threw that and just fell to his knees and put his head down. He knew he blew that completion. He's upset about it. That was easy.
And Eddie Royal had room to run with that football after he caught it in the flat. Again, the play came up just exactly as they called it. And Phillip Rivers is going to make that throw 99 times out of 100.
Rivers behind Gates and incomplete. Dangerous pass there by Rivers. Back-to-back incompletions by the veteran quarterback.
Well, Gates is going to come up, and he's so patient. You see how he just kind of lollygags off the line, and that's one of the things he's so good at. And watch as Phillip Rivers, Tyson Alualu gets in there real low. Just as Rivers starts to throw that football forward, Alualu knocks him sideways, and that's why the pass was inaccurate, as you see there. 3rd down passing. This is 3rd down. He's 4 or 5 for 57 yards. Those are enormous numbers.
9th play of the drive. It's 3rd and 10. Rivers looking for Floyd in the end zone. He's got it. Touchdown, San Diego. Third touchdown of the game for Phillip Rivers.
Jacksonville decided to come with pressure. They bump and run on the outside. Malcolm Floyd gets the one-on-one coverage, and there's nobody better dropping it in the bucket than Phillip Rivers. That is what Malcolm Floyd is there for, the up-the-field plays. Whenever he gets isolated one-on-one, Phillip Rivers is going to take a shot, and no one is better at dropping it in there than him.
McCray was right there, but you say he put it in the bucket. That was a Dixie cup. I mean, he dropped that just perfectly on the outside, and he threw it extremely early in the route, too. He saw the pressure, let that pass go really quickly. Just perfect.
Rivers now has 9 touchdowns and 1 interception on the season, the best ratio of any quarterback in the NFL thus far. What a pass to Malcolm Floyd, and the Chargers go up by 10. 9 touchdown passes this season for Phillip Rivers, and 8 of the 9 have come from 11 personnel, which is 1 running back, 1 tight end, and 3 wide receivers.
And that's a key for this Charger team. They're very good out of those personnel packages, and defenses know it.
Todman will take this out of his own end zone for Jacksonville. Across the 20. Todman knocked down at the 26-yard line. Mike McCoy and the Chargers with a 24-14 lead on the Jaguars. Another gorgeous day in San Diego, and the Chargers have a 24-14 lead as we go back to that last touchdown.
Well, this is what Phillip Rivers saw, Andrew, right here. Everybody up inside. He's got one-on-one coverage down on the bottom with Malcolm Floyd. He has no doubt where he's going to go with this football. All he does is hold the safety with his eyes in the middle of the field, and then, as we said before, dropped it in the Dixie Cup. And who else is more excited than Phillip Rivers, or as excited, was Frank Reich, his offensive coordinator, who called the play, and they got exactly what they were expecting, and the result was 7 points.
Former teammate of Steve Tasker in Buffalo. 1st and 10 for Jacksonville, 11:03 to go, 3rd quarter. And the Jaguars playing today without Marquise Lee. The rookie wide receiver from USC is out with a hamstring injury. Bernard Robinson across the 30 to the 31-yard line. Robinson had 8 carries last week, and coaches continue to have confidence in the second-year running back out of Michigan. Gus Bradley said this week that the way he's practicing and playing, he's going to get more reps, and we've seen that today. Robinson with 7 carries, the same amount as Toby Gerhart. Bortles to the air. That's caught by Hearns, trying to fight for a first down, but Weddle and Butler push him back.
But I think one of the things we're going to see more of in the second half, as Bortles continues to show he can handle it, is pressure. And right there, they came with pressure off the edge, but Bortles' feet, to me, looked absolutely perfect. That's one of the knocks that people had on him coming out, was his footwork. And Jed Fish, offensive coordinator, they worked very hard during the offseason. They're not going to focus on that as much now because he's playing, but that's an area that he will get better as he goes along.
On 3rd and 1, Gerhart has the first down. Let's go back to that footwork. Bortles said that he recently saw some video of him playing quarterback at Central Florida, and he thought that it was 2 different quarterbacks compared to the way he looks now. And that's just from last year, but the biggest difference he noticed was that footwork. And what Jacksonville's been doing over the last few months with Bortles is every day at practice, he does a one-on-one drill with the quarterback coach, Frank Selfo, and they work on just one thing each day at practice, and a lot of times that's throwing left or footwork, and it's really helped Bortles. Donald Butler just to his feet. We're back to San Diego in a moment. Next Sunday, the NFL on CBS dials up a doubleheader. First, the Texans and Cowboys have a showdown in Big D, while the Ravens rumble with the Colts, and then the Chiefs challenge the Niners. Check your local listings. And of course, it all begins with JB, Tony, Bart, Coach, and Boomer on the NFL Today. 9:35 to go, 3rd quarter. Jacksonville trails by 10. The first career start for Blake Bortles, the number 3 overall pick in the 2014 NFL Draft. Shorts goes in motion. Bortles picked off. It's Brandon Flowers with his first interception of the season.
this is a case where San Diego, the defensive backs, just didn't believe that Bortles was going to look deep. Brandon Flowers, the DBs, they all sit still. They just squat on the routes. They don't retreat, not believing that there's going to be a deep route. There wasn't, and they took advantage of it. Flowers sitting right on that route. Cecil Shorts waiting for the football to come to him. Didn't get back to Bortles like a receiver should have done, and it cost him the interception.
Well, I think one of the things that hurt Bortles as a quarterback, he dropped back and he looked to his right. His read was to the right, and he came back and threw it to a standing receiver to his left. That's a late throw to a standing receiver, not threatening anybody up the field. That's a no-no. He learned the hard way right there.
Second turnover today by Jacksonville. 1st and 10 for San Diego at the Jaguars 40. And we have a flag down. They blow this play dead.
It's got to be illegal procedure or false start.
False start. Offense, number 83. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
So you're going to see Bortles here. He's going to look to his right to throw this ball. That's where he wants to go with it, all right? Now, what Jed Fish is going to use this for now, he comes back. That's his second throw is over the middle. Third throw back left. He's going to say, Blake, if there's tight coverage on that third receiver, you're an athlete. Tuck the ball and run. Try and make a positive gain out of a play. Don't force the football.
As you saw him look to his right, come back to the center, and then start to look over to the left. Cecil Shorts has been standing still the whole time,
exactly.
and the defender and Flowers was closing on it the entire time.
Flowers could almost see Bortles going through the progressions in his head, and he was sitting on that one. This is Oliver on the screen across the 40 and up to the 35-yard line for San Diego.
Well, San Diego another with the screen, and once again they're not running the football, particularly not on 1st and 15, but sooner or later they're going to have to come up with some way to move the football on the ground. For now, they're doing it with the short pass and using that as an extension of their running game.
Oliver, again, undrafted out of Buffalo, made the team, and now with all the injuries, Ryan Matthews still out a few more weeks, Danny Woodhead out for the year, Brandon Oliver is the second-string running back for the San Diego Chargers.
And that was a great run right there. It was only a pickup of 3 to 4 yards, but the way that he knifed himself up in there and just pressed the hole and kept moving forward, that's huge. It puts San Diego in a 3rd and a long 1, as opposed to what could have been a no-yard play.
And they bring in 2 tight ends, 1 and 2 running backs, or actually 3 tight ends.
Rivers with a throw, and the pass is caught by Keenan Allen again, his 8th catch of the day. And now this season, San Diego is 6 for 6 on 3rd and 1s.
You think Phillip Rivers can't dance? Let me show you him dancing a little bit here. Watch this little pirouette he does right there. Look at that. Ooh, nice and smooth. I was wondering what they were trying to fake the pitch action going one way, but great footwork. Again, not the most athletic quarterback in the world in terms of running the ball, but great feet and always delivering strikes.
34th time in the career of Phil Rivers that he's thrown for over 300 yards in a game. He's got 302. First down, Rivers looking for Allen again, and it's broken up. Knocked down by Alan Ball.
That was a good defensive play by Ball, and you think here now as the Jacksonville Jaguars watch Phillip Rivers march down the field toward their goal line.
And that's Cecil Shorts who is walking off to the locker room. He was the intended receiver on that last pass by Bortles that was picked off by Flowers.
Now this defense of Jacksonville, this was supposed to be a strength of the Jaguars this season. They have not been. And with the offense improving with Blake Bortles, you think their defense needs to do the same.
There's Oliver again, has a little bit of room to run across the 20, and Brandon Oliver right at the sticks. It's going to be just short. He got a good block from Doug Legursky.
And once again, Phillip Rivers just dumping the ball off to a back, so confident in it. And this is one of the things he said Mike McCoy and his staff brought to this. Just take the easy completion and work the system and trust what you're doing. And the first downs have come, and obviously, as we've seen in the first half, big plays follow.
Hey, go key left! Go key left! Out there! Hey, captain! Out there!
And a timeout called for by San Diego.
And Mike McCoy saw he did not like what he was seeing. He ran down the sideline and called timeout with the ref.
Well, Saturday, the best game from the best conference unleashes the Alabama Crimson Tide against the Rebels of Ole Miss. The hoopla starts with Inside College Football and college football today. What a game yesterday with Texas A&M winning in overtime. Johnny Manziel in the sideline with the Aggies. Now, following the timeout, 3rd and 1 for San Diego. We've mentioned that they haven't failed on a 3rd and 1 this entire season. What do you look for them to do here, Steve Berline?
Well, you know, when you got the quarterback like Phillip Rivers and you're coming out of a timeout, I almost want to say they're going to go with some sort of a play action here in this situation to try and drive the nail into the coffin. That's what I'd like to see. They got the 2 backs in there. Keenan Allen outside the bottom of your screen.
Lost the snap, and Rivers falls on it. Well, we've seen the problems with the center exchange and the 3rd-string center, Doug Legursky, and it cost the Chargers here as they'll have to send out the field goal unit.
And Phillip Rivers stalking off the field. Looks like the snap was on time, but he never got his hands on it. And, you know, you kind of always look at the center on that. A lot of times you look at the quarterback, but I don't know. I mean, when the problems that they've had.
Let me tell you something. This is going to sound funny, but every rear end is different. So, you know,
that does sound funny. Thank you.
They are different. And the quarterback, if the hands are not in the right spot, that ball does not hit the hand solidly. That could be a big problem.
34-yard field goal by Novak is good. He's now made 25 in a row. Phillip Rivers wasn't happy with that one. The Chargers only put up 3. Jacksonville had a 14-10 lead, but since then San Diego has scored 17 unanswered, and the Chargers now have a 27-14 lead.
And that's kind of the theme of the year for the Jaguars, though. I mean, they get themselves in position that we saw it week 1, where they have a chance in the game, but then they give up unanswered points, so 2 or 3 or 4 scores, where all of a sudden the game's out of hand.
You reference week 1, a 17-0 halftime lead on Philly, only to lose the game. Here's Jordan Todman, and he's forced out at the 31-yard line. For an update on Cecil Shorts, we go down to Scott Kaplan.
Andrew, Cecil Shorts was hurt on the interception that Blake Bortles threw. He walked off the field, went back to the locker room. It's his left hamstring giving him a hard time, and it's going to knock him out of the rest of this game. According to the Jacksonville public relations staff, it looks as though he's going to be out the rest of this game.
That's a tough one for the Jaguars because they're already without Marquise Lee. He did not make the trip here to San Diego, sidelined by a hamstring injury. Let's see how Bortles responds after the turnover. Play action. Bortles throws to Gerhardt across the 35 and knocked out at the 39. Now, when we talked with Jed Fish yesterday, the offensive coordinator, he said in their pre-draft film work, when they looked at Bortles on tape, they went to every drive that he had after a turnover. They wanted to see how he responded. I thought that was fascinating, and they liked what they saw. Drafted at number 3. Well, here's another spot for Bortles after a turnover. How does he respond?
Oregon, Mike 59. Oregon. 9. Up and down. 3
Allen Robinson, low pass, makes the catch, but he just gets back to the line of scrimmage, and it's going to bring up 3rd down.
And you're right, Andrew, that's a situation that you look at from a young quarterback. As you get to know a personality of a guy, how do they respond to adversity when they make a mistake or when things aren't going well? How do you answer? And he said that Blake Bortles always seemed to come back with a positive after a negative situation. That's a great quality to have in your young leader.
Yeah, Jed Fish said he's got moxie, and they could use it here on 3rd and 2 with 5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Caught by Harbor, but quickly upended by guess who? Brandon Flowers. Had the interception earlier in the quarter, and he makes a big play here on 3rd down.
Well, we've been talking a lot about what San Diego does defensively. We were expecting some quote-unquote exotic looks. That was one from the very beginning. A lot of guys at the line of scrimmage moving around. Very hard for a young quarterback to identify the best option right there. That was not the right choice. Even if it was a completion, Blake Bortles did not know where to go with that football.
And like a young quarterback, he did the right thing in one respect. He got rid of the football and completed the pass, but it just wasn't enough.
Flowers was teammates at Virginia Tech with Eddie Royal, who lets that punt go over his head. Royal really recruited Flowers to come to San Diego. And it's paying off for the Chargers. They lead at 27-14. Back in San Diego as the Chargers try to win a third straight game. They lead at 27-14 over Jacksonville with 4:03 to go third quarter. Donald Brown goes in motion to the top of your screen. Rivers looking deep again for Royal, and that one is incomplete. 3 touchdowns today for Rivers, all 3 over 20 yards.
Yeah, they're all different reasons. One, the matchup Phillip Rivers sees the linebacker on Eddie Royal. Then the play call on a third down where everybody thought they were just going for the first down. And then the perfect throw from Malcolm Floyd. 3 different reasons for 3 home runs.
Donald Brown on the carry for San Diego. And, you know, you look at Rivers and what he's doing, 23 of 29. And he's doing it without really a running game. Donald Brown has 16 yards rushing. We told about Matthews is out. Woodhead's now out for the year. Rivers is still able to pick apart secondaries without a real consistent running game.
Well, as Steve Tasker pointed out earlier, I think, you know, their running game, they don't have confidence in that running game right now for whatever reason. But Phillip Rivers is your quarterback, throwing those short ball control passes on first down are just like running plays as far as Mike McCoy is concerned.
Their longest run today is 5 yards. 3rd and 4. Rivers in trouble. Gets away. Dumps it down to Brown. He's got the first down. Donald Brown across the 40 and finally tackled at the 47-yard line by Josh Evans. A pickup of 21 on 3rd down.
And that is Phillip Rivers at his best right there. You know, he is not known as a guy that extends a lot of plays, but he can move around and buy that little extra time and finds his safety valve. You think it's a little 2 or 3 yard pickup, fine, but well, look at, you break one tackle and what happens? All of a sudden you're down the sideline for another nice gain.
Those are the types of back-breaking plays the Jaguars have suffered through this season, especially on 3rd down. Right back to Brown, but he drops it.
You look at Phillip Rivers, and they said when he came out of college he had a funky delivery, and that's why people were kind of shying away from him. Look at this. Falling one way, kind of sidearm slinging it right on the money. He's thrown the football more different ways than a lot of quarterbacks are able to throw it. And almost every delivery he uses, he's just as accurate. It works. That's the brilliance of the way he plays. I mean, and you almost can't explain it because nobody else can do it.
Looking deep down the sideline for Allen. Comes back to make the catch. Was he in bounds? Yes. What a grab by Keenan Allen.
Well, I tell you, I like Phillip Rivers, and we've been kind of gushing about his ability. Look at this play. Look at Keenan Allen on the right. Oh, that might be his toe. Did touch the white, and I would challenge this if I was Gus Bradley. He did.
Gus throws the red flag.
That was a phenomenal catch by Keenan Allen that is not going to count.
You know, the point there is that the left foot did come down in bounds, but the toe ended up rolling over the line before the right foot hit the ground.
He twisted and his
Jacksonville
foot went out of
is
bounds.
challenging the ruling on the field of a completed pass.
Well, we'll find out for sure. We'll have the confirmation from Mike Carey if we need him.
So that was a phenomenal catch. But you'll see his left foot is going to come down, and then you can see there it moves right to the white line.
Well, yeah, to us it looks pretty clear now, but remember, it has to be irrefutable, indisputable, whatever word you want to use, and they'll look at every one of these angles. If there's any doubt, this will not be overturned.
And that to me is on the line.
Let's go back to New York. Say hello to Mike Carey, our officiating expert. What are you seeing on these replays, Mike?
Andrew, this is another tight one, but if you see the left foot just as it twists, it kisses the white. I think that is obvious, but I think what the referee is going to do is come out and let the play stand as a catch.
Oh!
And why is that, Mike?
Even though his foot kisses the white?
Well, that's what I see, but when it's close like that, they tend to go with what happens on the field.
So what you're saying is it's an art form, not a science?
Well, it's a judgment call, isn't it?
Okay. Well, that makes it interesting right there.
That's the first time I've heard Mike Carey say, I believe one thing, but they're going to come back and rule the other. Is that your first time you've ever publicly made a statement like that, Mike?
No, I've had a couple like that where, in my opinion, that touches the white.
Right.
But they're very careful not to jump to a conclusion on these plays. So I'm expecting them to come out and stand the play as a catch.
Mike, how are the officials? Now, if you made this call and it was like this close, does the league, I know they evaluate you guys, do they downgrade you for a call that's a coin flip like that?
Nothing that's this tight because it is so difficult.
All right, here comes Cleet Blakeman, the referee, to announce the call.
After review of the play, the receiver's left foot spun and went out of bounds prior to the right foot coming down. Therefore, by rule, it's an incomplete pass.
Wow.
We'll bring up third down. Jacksonville's not charged with a timeout.
Well, I'm glad to see that because we could see that the foot kissed the white as it spun. So it's a great use of replay and a great call by Cleet.
So, Mike, if you were under the hood there and you saw exactly what we saw, you would have come out and said, "I'm not going to reverse that." Do you have the freedom to do that?
No, I would have reversed it to incomplete because it's clear to me that his foot touched the white.
All right.
All right, Mike, good stuff. Thank you very much. It brings up third down and 10 now for San Diego. 2:11 to go, third quarter. Rivers hit as he throws, and coming back to make the play is Keenan Allen, and a first down for San Diego. Rivers took a pop, but Allen with another San Diego first down.
You know, there is a trust and a chemistry that has to come between a quarterback and a receiver. When Phillip Rivers lets go of this ball, Keenan Allen is not in inside position to make that catch, but he knows that Phillip Rivers knows that Keenan Allen is going to come back for that football and win the battle for the ball. That's just complete confidence.
Oliver, the ball carrier on first down. Keenan Allen has 9 catches. That ties a career high. He's got 125 yards receiving.
Well, he's listed at 211 pounds. I think after this game, he's going to weigh about $165. He's working so hard out in the hot sun. He is absolutely a superb route runner. He's in his second year and out of Cal. And you see there, things are going very well for the San Diego Chargers today. 2 guys over 100 yards receiving.
Yeah, Rivers is up to 348 yards passing. Final minute of play in the third quarter. It's Oliver across the 35 and spun down at the 34-yard line.
You know, and interestingly enough, we talk a lot about these Chargers, this Jacksonville Jaguars, and making the change to Blake Bortles. A lot of us, you know, things are going to be better. Well, obviously it wasn't all Chad Henne that was giving Jacksonville a lot of struggles. This defense has struggled mightily as well, and while Blake Bortles has injected some confidence and some energy into the offense, something needs to happen to the defense to get them to the same point.
San Diego 7 for 11 on third downs, 3rd and 6, and they've got another first down, and guess who? Yes, Keenan Allen, a new career high. That's his 10th catch.
Well, San Diego is the best team in the NFL on third down, almost 47% coming into the game, and a lot of different reasons for that, but the bottom line is you got a guy pulling the trigger back that knows exactly where to go with that football.
Fantasy football fans loving Keenan Allen right now. San Diego fans loving him as well. They lead at 27-14. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Start of the fourth quarter in San Diego. The Chargers lead at 27-14, and they've got the ball in great field position, 1st and 10 from the Jacksonville 26. Blake Bortles can only watch right now. There's another long drive here for the Chargers. Rivers. And that pass is incomplete. He was looking for Malcolm Floyd. And now there's a fight. Helmets are off on the field. Flags fly. That is Andre Branch without a helmet for Jacksonville.
King Dunlap for the Chargers. That's a big man right there.
Yeah, there's only, it's a good thing it happens in this setting, because if it happens anyplace else, nobody else is big enough to step in on those guys.
Dunlap 6'9", 330. Branch 6'5", 265.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Defense, number 90. Blow to the head, half the distance to the goal line. Automatic first down.
So only Branch gets called.
But there's Dunlap. Go ahead. Yeah, right there. You see, oh, he got his, that was a retaliation a little bit. Yeah, and King Dunlap retaliating as well. He didn't get called. Usually you see it just the opposite. The second guy is the one who gets called. King Dunlap retaliating to Branch. Actually, Branch felt like he got a hand to the face by Dunlap. Initially it wasn't called, and then it started to spiral out of control from there.
So 1st and 10 for San Diego. Rivers, and this time he's not going to get away. Spun down by Roy Miller, the 4th sack of his career.
Yeah, let's see Phillip Rivers getting up, limping a little bit. Watch how he gets kind of twisted up in this thing. I was concerned as a former quarterback watching the way his legs get kind of twisted up with right there. You see that foot bent back underneath. That right foot was bent underneath Roy Miller.
2nd sack today for the Jaguars defense. They lead the league with 12 on the season.
Red Rose! Green 90! Green hot!
Play action to Brown. Rivers throws it to Floyd. He's got it at the 5. There is a flag down at the field, right in the middle of the field.
Right around Antonio Gates. Jonathan Cyprien, the safety, contacted Antonio Gates right around the goal line, which was about 12 yards up the field. So that flag came out right away.
Right there, more than 5 yards. That's likely going to be the call, as we've told you throughout the season, a point of emphasis this year.
There is no foul for illegal contact against the defense on the play because the ball was in the air.
Wow.
Result of the play is a gain to the 6-yard line. It'll be 3rd down.
So they change it. They pick up the flag. No call.
That's a brilliant interpretation of the rules because there definitely was illegal contact, but if the ball's already out of the quarterback's hand, it's irrelevant.
And because the ball wasn't thrown to Gates, it's not pass interference.
So that makes it 3rd and 3 with 13:50 to go in the 4th quarter. Rivers, end zone, incomplete. He was looking for Antonio Gates. No penalty on the play.
Well, that's one I think they might have been able to call. There was a lot of contact up the field in the back of the end zone. We'll see again how much. Right there is contact. That is illegal contact by the rules the way it is today.
What happens is if Cyprien doesn't initiate the contact, and the official said, obviously judged that Cyprien accepted the momentum of Gates while he still held his position but didn't give him an extra shot with his hands as he went by, so they decided to let that go. I think it's a good no call.
23-yard field goal for Novak is good, but that's a big play by the Jacksonville defense. They keep it to a 2-score game, 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions. San Diego got off to a slow start in that first quarter, but look what they've done since then. 347 yards of offense. And after the field goal, they lead it 30-14. Blake Bortles getting set to come back out onto the field for Jacksonville.
And this is a Jacksonville Jaguars team that is last in the NFL as far as giving up total yards, well over 400 yards a game. So this is par for the course for their defense.
Whoa, what a punishing hit along the sideline. That was Torrick Williams, the second-year linebacker out of Florida International.
Well, that was the guy.
I don't know how you don't see him coming.
And he obviously has not run with the football very much because he did not protect. He looked like I would look running the football.
Well, Ryan Davis, to his defense, is a defensive end who is the up man on special teams there.
Well, all I can say is bless his heart for picking that up and making some yards. But wow.
Bortles keeps it himself, and he slides down just short of the 35-yard line. Let's go back to that last hit and take a listen.
Yeah. If you're asking and wondering at home, yeah, that hurts.
Yeah, that's going to leave a mark.
That, and you know what? If these days, if that happened to you or me, we'd be out of work for 2 weeks. I would be laid up for a week. Oh my goodness.
Bortles got 6 on first down. It's 2nd and 4. Dumps it to Robinson. He slips as he tried to cut back, and he's going to be a yard short of a first down.
You know, Denard Robinson is a really good story. He came out of college as a quarterback and really struggled to make the transition. He was such an athletic player at Michigan that they felt like he could do it. And this year, he has taken real strides forward in becoming a running back and not just an athlete. And you can see the difference, and you can see the difference in the reps that they're giving him and the amount of snaps that he's taking as to how much confidence they're gaining in his ability.
And how much confidence he's gaining in himself. He's starting to look like he really knows what he's doing out there.
On 3rd and 1, Gerhardt has the first down.
You know, you see these guys.
Let's go back to New York, an NFL update with JB and Bart Scott.
Bart, you think it's important to wrap up Devin Hester?
I tell you what can't this guy do? Line up in the backfield, he's going to take the screen pass and take it 36 yards. Come on, bring your feet. You should know better. He has 10 touchdowns against the Minnesota Vikings in his career. 21-27.
Steve and Scott.
Poor tackling there. Thank you, guys. Bortles to the air, and another big hit. This time it's the fullback. Taufo got hit hard by Cavell Connor, who's starting today for the injured Manti Te'o.
Late flag coming in now. There's some little late action going on the field.
You talk about these guys that come out of college like Denard Robinson, and you can see it on defensive players too. They come out of these colleges with really master's degrees and sometimes real master's degrees in football. I mean, they're advanced players.
To the play. Unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 53. Penalties 15 yards from the dead ball spot, automatic first down.
This would be taunting on Cavell Connor probably after the big hit. He must have been saying something too.
So Connor getting the start for the injured Manti Te'o with a costly penalty, and now Jacksonville moves into San Diego territory. 11:25 to go, fourth quarter. Again, Jacksonville only down by 2 scores. Bortles pump fakes, now throws to Hearns, who makes the catch. Now the Chargers sideline is pointing to the ground, saying it should be incomplete, but they're giving him the catch for a gain of 1.
Andrew, you just made a key point though. It's only a 2-score ball game. Any way you look at this thing, if the Jaguars scored 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions, so Blake Bortles has got to be only concerned with this drive. He's got to convince his teammates, focus on scoring right here. We get the 2-point conversion, then we'll worry about the next one.
Bortles steps up, trying to get through the middle, and he does. Blake Bortles, and he is marked down at the 35-yard line, a half yard short of a first down. Great awareness here by the rookie.
Go ahead.
And a great physical play too, gripping out of the grasp of Lismore and getting up to make this a 3rd and 1 instead of a 3rd and 10.
When you see this guy play and when you see him up close, he reminds me a lot of Big Ben Roethlisberger, and his style, his physical skills, his strength, and his willingness to tuck the ball and do what he's got to do to make that extra yard.
Robinson spins away from one, tries to fall forward. Great second effort by the second-year player, Denard Robinson. This will be where they spot it. Torek Williams made the tackle, and they're going to say it's 4th down. He's just short, and you would think that the Jaguars will go for it here.
And to get back to that point about Robinson, you come out, it's changing from quarterback to running back for this guy. It's a little bit like asking an accounting major to move into business world and become a lawyer. You know, it's like asking him to do a completely different job, and he's done an outstanding job making himself a pro player.
4th and 1, Gerhardt, and again, it doesn't look like he got it. Toby Gerhardt needed half a yard, and he doesn't get it. San Diego football.
You know, I do not like the way that Toby Gerhardt hits this hole. Big power back. You got to slam it up in there and get that first down yourself.
Chargers ahead of the Jaguars 30-14. Don't forget Thursday, your football week starts here when the Vikings face the Packers in NFC North showdown in Green Bay. Another big time matchup in prime time. Thursday Night Football on CBS and the NFL Network. Packers with a big win earlier today in Chicago. Meanwhile, Toby Gerhart could not get a yard on 4th and 1. He's got 10 carries today for 32 yards. And remember, he also fumbled back in the first quarter. So San Diego gets the ball back with 9.5 to go. Brown, not much room to run. We send it back to New York. Another NFL update with JB and Bart Scott.
Kaepernick outside of the pocket.
Oh, Tony been saying all day, he's extremely accurate outside the pocket. And right here, he's going to scramble and find Stevie Johnson in the corner. And he keeps the toes in. Philadelphia up 21-20.
First second half touchdown of the season for San Fran. Andrew, Steve, and Scott.
That's amazing. First second half touchdown of the year for the San Francisco 49ers.
Been a tough start for the Niners. That's a big game for them against the undefeated Eagles. 8:50 and counting to go, fourth quarter. Back to Brown. And coming up to make that tackle is J.T. Thomas. Well, coming up, time permitting, after the game, the Subway post-game show. Join JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Carroll for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Subway post-game show. Thomas starting today for Leroy Reynolds, one of 2 changes Gus Bradley made this week in his defensive starting lineup, trying to send a message to his team by benching a couple of guys, and his defense has still allowed 30 points. 3rd and 7 for San Diego. Rivers stumps it down to Royal, and he is short of a first down. San Diego will have to punt.
Well, that was just a very conservative play call by the San Diego Chargers, and there was some good pressure up the field inside the pocket for Jacksonville Jaguars, and made Phillip Rivers get rid of that ball a little bit earlier than he wanted to. He's a little bit frustrated right there. He wanted to ice the game with a score. One more score there would have made it a 3-score ball game. That's what he was kind of looking for.
Yeah, and when you think about what they did there, 2 run, they didn't run the ball twice in a row on any of the other series throughout the game. I mean, that was a conservative series for the Chargers.
Mike Cyphers grew up in Louisiana. He was high school teammates with Ed Reed, and Ed Reed was actually a better punter than Cyphers in high school. So Cyphers was just the kicker. Ed Reed, the punter. Well, now Cyphers is in his 12th year, doing quite well for the Chargers, a 48-yard punt. Some of the headlines from the early games in the NFL. Many of you saw the Ravens and Panthers take on each other, and Steve Smith with a big day against his former team. Tampa Bay beat Pittsburgh, and the Raiders lose again. They've lost 10 in a row going back to last year. On first down, Mike Brown makes the catch, and he's got a Jacksonville first down as we approach 7 minutes to go, and now the hurry-up offense by the Jaguars. They won't even huddle up. Still only down 2 scores, 30-14.
And I like this by Gus Bradley deciding to go with this and hurry up.
Allen Robinson makes the grab at the 26. Does a good job to get up to the 31-yard line, and that's another Jacksonville first down.
You know why I like it, Andrew? I think it's going to give Blake Bortles a chance to kind of run around and have a little bit of free run, ad lib around there in the football field. If he doesn't see what he likes, make some athletic plays with his big arm and his feet.
Jacksonville without Cecil Shorts left the game with a hamstring injury, and Marquise Lee ruled out earlier in the week with a hamstring as well. Bortles steps up to elude the pressure, fires over the middle, incomplete. As we go back to New York, another update with JB and Bart Scott.
Tony Gonzalez has been singing this guy's praises all season.
Oh, yeah, Antone Smith. Look at him bend that corner. Don't not too many backs got this gear. He takes it to the house. Atlanta up 28-27. Tell him, Tony.
Tony said they were about to cut this guy, and Tony said, "You got to be kidding me." Andrew, Steve, and Scott.
Good stuff, guys. We like the sound effects from Bart Scott there doing the highlights. I like it. 2nd and 10. Bortles in trouble, and this time he goes down. Cordero Law, just promoted off the practice squad this week, and he gets the sack.
Yeah, this was a big-time rush coming right up the middle from the snap. You just see Bowanko almost horse collars. The guy's coming up, and Cordero Law comes in and finally gets to Bortles. Bortles has done a nice job of avoiding that up to this point, but the Chargers are getting a little more aggressive coming up the middle of that formation.
19th sack allowed this season by the Jaguars, the most in the NFL. 3rd and 17. Bortles to his right, nobody's open. Now he throws and dumps it down to Clay Harbor, who's got some room to run across midfield.
That is what it's all about with Blake Bortles right now. You know, he's played so well today with the exception of just a couple of plays and one interception, but this is what he brings. I mean, he has supreme confidence in himself. He's obviously very athletic, and he's very hard to bring down, and then when he sees a receiver in front of him, that's an added dimension he's going to bring. That's a big third down conversion for this guy.
Keeps the play alive. Harbor gets 30 yards. Jacksonville moves into San Diego territory. 1st and 10. Bortles feeling the heat again, and this time he can't get away, or does he? Jaleel Adai looked to have the sack, and then Bortles flung it out of bounds. And they're going to say it was incomplete. His knee never went down, and Adai is trying to figure out how in the world Bortles didn't get his knee down.
And he does do the spin around, as you can see there. Well, he sat on top of the defender. Oh, there his knee is
down there.
His knee is down, and if Mike McCoy wants to challenge this, I would, and I think he'll win.
McCoy's got the red flag in his hand, and he gently tosses it on the field. Very nice of Mike McCoy. McCoy is 1 for 1 on challenges this year.
San Diego's challenging the ruling of an incomplete pass on the play.
So they'll take a look with 4:39 to go. A San Diego challenge here in the 4th quarter.
After review of the play, the quarterback's knee was down with the ball positioned at the 48-yard line. Brings up 2nd down at that point. San Diego will not be charged with a timeout.
So Mike McCoy now 2 for 2 on challenges this year, as we say hello to Mike Carey back in New York, and a pretty clear call there, Mike.
Yes, Andrew, even though Bortles stayed alive by rolling on the body of the defender, when he went to throw the ball, his right knee had already hit the ground, so that was an easy reversal.
And a loss of 6 on the play. Thank you, Mike. Todman makes the catch and runs out of bounds at the 46-yard line. That'll bring up a 3rd down. Torek Williams forced out Todman.
I think, too, at this point, Steven, what do you think? I think this is 4-down territory. There was 4-down territory in the first half. I think you got Blake Bortles in there. Your defense has not done much to get Phillip Rivers off the field until the Chargers in that last series went conservative. I think, you know, depending on how they do perhaps on this down, if it's a 3rd and short, I say, you know, leave them out there and let them try it.
I agree 100%. At this point in the game, you've got to get 2 scores.
3rd and 12. Mike Brown juggles it, and it falls incomplete, but a late flag comes in from the secondary along the same side where Mike Brown went to make that catch.
Yeah, it's going to be Steve Williams.
Holding, defense, number 23, 5-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
Big penalty.
This is the kind of play that last year and any previous years would not have been called, because it was contact at the line of scrimmage maintained through the play, but now you can't do that. And so you're going to see right at the bottom, it's right here, you see that contact. That's the last part of it.
Yeah. He had a handful of jersey trying to catch back up to the receiver, and they called him for it. And today, that is a penalty.
So that makes it 1st and 10. Bortles fires right to Clay Harbor, who gets to the 43. We go back to New York. JB and Bart Scott.
San Francisco on the good foot.
Oh, yeah, the good foot of Phil Dawson with the 46-yard field goal to take the lead. And Antoine Bethea just intercepted Nick Foles. San Francisco making a game of it, up 23-21.
13 unanswered by San Francisco. Andrew, Steve, and Scott.
JB, thank you. It's 20 unanswered here for the Chargers, but the Jaguars trying to string together a drive. Clay Harper now with career highs in both catches and yards. 8 catches for 69 yards. On the second line, Bortles is picked by Eric Weddle. Weddle tripped up by Bortles. A late flag comes in. But Eric Weddle with the 19th interception of his career, his first this season.
And they're going to call this penalty on Bortles for tripping Weddle after that's how he tackled him, as he tripped him.
Well, the Chargers had come with pressure 3 straight times before that play right there. They kind of gave the pressure look and fell back into zone, and Bortles threw right into coverage.
During the return, tripping on the offensive return team, number 5. It's a 10-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down, San Diego.
And Eric Weddle was just following Blake Bortles' eyes the whole time on that play. Had kind of the free, see him in the middle of your screen there, right there. And Bortles obviously never saw Weddle, otherwise that ball would not have been thrown, but he was baited into that throw, and you see the trip at the very end.
Second interception today by Blake Bortles, the 3rd turnover by Jacksonville.
Interestingly enough, Weddle got beat earlier in the game by the double move, and Bortles went right over his head to set up that second touchdown.
390!
And Weddle comes back and makes the interception in the second half.
Jed Fish, the offensive coordinator for Jacksonville, said Weddle is a pain. 19th career interception. Monday on CBS, NCIS Los Angeles moves to its new night and time. Don't miss LL Cool J and Chris O'Donnell in the season premiere Monday night at 10/9 Central, only CBS.
Well, when you look at Blake Bortles right there, I think it's been a very solid first outing. Sure, it didn't go the way, hasn't gone the way that they wanted it to as far as the win, the loss. He's had the 2 interceptions the second half, but what an engaging conversation we had with him yesterday. He talked about what his goals were for himself coming into this game, and there were 3 specific things he talked about, and we'll have a chance to get into it here in a minute as we watch the Chargers take over.
Yeah, Jacksonville called timeout. They have 2 remaining with 3:35 to go. This is Oliver running left. And Oliver gets close to the 30-yard line, tackled by Cyprien and McCray.
But to go back to Bortles, he said, I want to own the middle linebacker points, because that's a huge thing for a quarterback, to identify that middle linebacker for his team. Jacksonville takes a timeout right now, but the second thing Bortles wanted to do, he wanted to own every throw that he made today, and he's let a couple get away from him today. He's going to go back to the drawing board on that. And then third, he wanted to be that leader that the offense needs, and they've been lacking for so long here in Jacksonville. Not so much a knock on Chad Henne, but just trying to step up and assume the role of a leader on this team, of a team that's got a chance to be something in the future.
Yeah, we spoke about it too, Steve. One of the things that I think every player wants to do, and you and I spoke about it too, because we've been there, you want to earn the respect of the guys you're playing with. He knew that it was his first start. Guys were looking at him, and he's got, and let's face it, Blake Bortles has got a long leash. He's the 3rd pick in the draft. He's going to be allowed to fail quite a bit, maybe more so than anybody else on the roster.
Oliver trying to get the first, and he's still moving the legs. He's got it.
And sometimes having that long leash leads to problems.
Well, for those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS in the game between the Jaguars and the Chargers, along with Steve Tasker and Steve Berline. I'm Andrew Catalan. San Diego leads it 30-14. 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following this game, except on the West Coast. So a first down for San Diego. Jacksonville has 1 timeout remaining. That list that Steve Berline mentioned, Bortles made that list Monday night and texted it to himself. He kept it on his phone and looked at it throughout the week to remind himself of his personal goals for this game. Ziggy Hood makes that tackle as San Diego's just trying to burn out this clock.
Jacksonville takes their final timeout.
Final timeout for the Jags. As you look at San Diego's upcoming schedule, this, if they hold on, will get them to 3-1. And there's a lot of people that think, based on the way you see those records of the upcoming teams, they could be 6-1 going to Denver on Thursday Night Football here on CBS on October the 23rd. They don't have to leave the state until that October 23rd game. So San Diego, they've had a ton of injuries. We've documented that throughout the game, but they have a little soft part in their schedule coming up, and Mike McCoy could be looking at 6-1 going to his former team.
And nobody knows how to play Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos better than Mike McCoy does. They played the Broncos twice last year, beat them once, should have beat them the other time. That was a game they let get away. So Mike McCoy knows how to play Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos.
And so does Frank Reich. Frank Reich was the quarterback coach in Indianapolis for the last handful of years that Peyton Manning was the quarterback there. So those two guys have a lot of insight into how the wheels turn in Peyton Manning's mind, and they had a lot of success just last year.
Jacksonville cannot stop the clock. That will take us to the 2-minute warning. It was 14-10 Jacksonville back in the first half, but San Diego has scored 20 unanswered points, and they are about to win their third straight game. 2-minute warning. It's been all bolts here in Southern California. As you see Blake Bortles and Jed Fish, offensive coordinator for the Jaguars, on 3rd and 9 for San Diego. Oliver running left, and Oliver is going to be short of a first down.
Well, you look at Bortles, and one of the things that Jed Fish told us yesterday was it's going to be interesting to see how he comes back, because he has yet to be scarred by a real NFL defeat, and there is no history there. He's got nothing to really base it on. So you wonder how this young quarterback is going to bounce back and deal with the adversity that he faced today. And I think all of us can fairly confidently say that based on what we know, this guy is going to come back stronger and better because of the experience today, and more focused on doing what he has to do to win ball games.
Man, let's not forget the fact either that he's going to be this team's quarterback for the foreseeable future. And in fact, Jed Fish told us, as you see a timeout on the field, Jed Fish told us when he came in the game last week, you forget you could take Bortles off the back of his shirt and just print Pope on the back, because that's really what he is, not only for the Jacksonville Jaguar fans, but for the staff and for his teammates. They really hope that they're right about him. They seem to be, they believe they are, and certainly today we've seen a lot of positive signs for what this guy could be in the years to come. But that's what he is. He is the hope of this franchise, and he seems the right type of guy to be successful.
I agree 100%.
The Chargers called that timeout. Jacksonville does not have any timeouts remaining with 1:13 to go, and Nick Novak will attempt a 37-yard field goal. He is already 3 for 3 today. And Novak makes it 27 in a row. He's closing in on the franchise record held by John Carney with 29 consecutive field goals made. Novak has not missed since last November against Denver. Well, Phillip Rivers with another big day, 29 out of 39 for 377 yards and 3 touchdowns, and they were able to have some big plays against this Jacksonville defense.
Well, the Jaguars came out of the box really fired up, playing good defense. Bortles showed some life for this offense, but once Phillip Rivers and Frank Reich and company figured out what Jacksonville was trying to do defensively, they were able to create some opportunities up the field for their receivers, and all of a sudden it was raining big plays for the San Diego Chargers, and just taking advantage of what's really plagued Jacksonville all year long.
And we spoke in the open also about all the injuries that have been afflicted upon this Chargers, particularly on the offensive side of the football. 2 running backs out, 2 offensive linemen are down, and they have not missed a beat, particularly with their top 2 running backs out, and as much as they use them in all facets of their game, they have not done any. It doesn't seem they've missed them at all.
They're down to their 3rd and 4th centers right now, too,
That's
which
right.
has been a factor, and that's something they've got to get shored up as they come into this stretch here, because long-term, those center quarterback issues can really make significant problems.
The Chargers only have 42 rushing yards today. Rivers has thrown for 377, and they've got 33 points. So he's getting it done without much help from his running game. As Todman breaks a tackle, there's a flag down at the 31-yard line. Don't forget 60 minutes coming up next, except on the West Coast.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Return team, number 22. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down, Jacksonville.
Jaguars started 0-8 last year, and they are staring at 0-4 to begin this season now. It's been a rough go for Gus Bradley and the Jags. And their bye week is not until week 11. Final minute here in San Diego.
Mike 59, down. Green 80. Green 89.
Denard Robinson on the pitch running left. Jacksonville again cannot stop the clock. Devell Connor on the tackle.
You know, if you ask me, Andrew, I think as we look at Gus Bradley, I think the thing he's most disappointed in this year is the play of his defense. And this is the 5th game in a row, going back to last year, that they're going to lose by 17 points or more if they don't score. And the defense has just not stepped up all year for them. And we talked about the big plays, but it's been really atrocious from a defensive perspective.
Now they have started the season with 3 of their first 4 games on the road, so they do have some home cooking coming up. See if that helps. Next week they host Pittsburgh.
And Pittsburgh going to Tampa Bay today and getting beaten by the Buccaneers.
33 seconds to go, 3rd down and 8. Bortles with 1 touchdown pass and 2 interceptions. And nearly a third. That one is caught off the deflection. Allen Robinson with a heads-up play and a Jacksonville first down, and what was nearly the 3rd pick by Bortles.
Yeah, that play was very well read by Jaleel Addae, and that ball should have been intercepted, no doubt about it, but deflected ends up being a positive play for Blake Bortles. It's company.
Jacksonville cannot stop the clock. Bortles tosses one deep looking for Mike Brown, incomplete. With 2 seconds to go. There'll be one more play.
Well, Phillip Rivers and this Charger team have got to feel really good about where they're headed. This is a team for a handful of years could not get out of the blocks quickly during a season. They'd go 1-3, 1-4, 2-6 to begin the season, and then would have to close it down and finish strong to get to the playoffs. Last year, they did do that, winning 4 straight to get in. But this year, getting off to a blazing start. We'll see how it ends.
That'll do it from San Diego. The Chargers improved to 3-1. They win at 33-14. Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes and President Obama. That's followed by Madam Secretary and The Good Wife in the season premiere of CSI. For our producer Ryan Galvin, our director Andy Goldberg, Steve Tasker, Steve Berline, Scott Kaplan, our entire crew, this is Andrew Catalan saying so long from San Diego. You have been watching the NFL on CBS.